Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, Season 2 of Riverdale, Episode 24, The Wrestler, Grace, Jason, Alonso.
Welcome back.
Hi.
Thank you.
We missed you.
It's nice to be back. And boy, for the gayest episode yet.
Right, and this throwback retro canon t-shirt's awesome. I want to get a Vestron one too.
Oh,
like
good.
all the
Orion. I think they have those.
Yeah, I love it.
Orion's back, crazily enough. Yeah. Anyway, on to the subject. Not only the gayest episode, but they hired Gregg Araki to direct it. Google him, kids, if you don't know. Gregg Araki is one of the main architects of the new queer cinema movement of the 1990s, The Living End, Mysterious Skin, more recently Kaboom. He is very big deal and very outre gay director. So if you're gonna have all the boys in singlets, Gregg Araki is the guy to call. Yeah, this episode was
very gay.
Wow.
What is happening to our show, guys? Like, it is, what's happening here? Jason and I talked last time about how I feel like they're introducing a lot of little plot points and they're not really dealing with any of them in great detail. And I was hoping that I would be maybe proven wrong and that we would be getting some major direction. And while perhaps we may have tied up the fact that Chick Cooper is not a serial killer or whatever, we settled that. Everything else is just left flying up in the air.
I think everything goes back to Sodale right now. So it's like we've got the FBI thing, we've got the mayor versus Veronica's mom, we've got the new revelation that the Southside Serpents are actually the last remaining Native Americans, the Utica tribe that weren't slaughtered by General what's-his-face?
And Barnaby, Blossom.
Yeah, Blossom and the guy that he hired.
Pickens,
the guy with the statue. So yeah, so I think that they are all pieces of a puzzle.
This episode was not good. I'm sorry. This episode was not good to me at all because I agree with you, Grace. There's so much going on. So, okay, Josie, Sierra, we finally get Mayor McCoy's real name, Sierra, told Josie something her and Veronica have a falling out. It just seemed like it was all over the place. The whole Chick and Betty scenario was just lame. It's like now they're like the rise of the Phoenix. They have this dark energy about them.
And he's dark because he's a cam boy?
Because he's a rent kid from the net. It didn't make any sense.
The fact that they were so shocked to put that together, it was like, there was a camera in his room. What did you guys think he did?
But Betty's whole just diving into that, like, you're dark, I'm dark. Let's be dark together. It was just ridiculous. It was very discombobulated and very disjointed.
You're not entirely wrong. I think a lot of that, you're right. It was a little all over the place. I admire what this show is trying to do in terms of touching on topics that are relevant, like the whole notion of not just the fact that this was a town built on the slaughter of indigenous peoples, but also that Jughead has to deal with the notion of cultural appropriation and taking on this thing that really wasn't his to do or talk about. I found all that really interesting, at least theoretically, maybe not as it's expressed. The wrestling stuff, it's kind of like, oh, really? Mr. Lodge is super into wrestling? Why have we never heard about this until this very second?
Yeah.
But TV shows do that all the time. And yeah, y'all mentioned last week, like the whole Mrs. Blossom is now a sex worker subplot. Is like, wait, could we talk about that for a second?
And it was strange because at the beginning, at the top of this episode, it said previously on Riverdale, and it showed that scene. So I thought, all right, we're gonna deal with this because this is a major thing to introduce about a character who I guess was at some point in time had third-degree burns covering her entire body.
And she's working out of her own house, mind you.
Right, like starting a brothel from her own house where a beloved character, Cheryl Blossom, lives. Like, why aren't we dealing with that?
And her elderly mother, let's not forget.
Oh my gosh, we're just tossing that. There's just too much that we care about because after such an amazing first season, we really care about this town and these people that we're tossing aside. The fact that it was Veronica and the Pussycats I thought that it was just gonna be two other like extras and she was just co-opting the name the Pussycats. The fact that it actually was the Pussycats and we saw them just in the background. I was like, yeah, how are you gonna do us like that? We haven't seen the Pussycats in like however many episodes, and now we just see them and they're just backwards.
Valerie was an actual character for a hot second, and
it's like did the mom, did Hermione have something to do with that? It was just a lot was left up in the air, and that's my fear with this show is that, like you said, it was fantastic the first season, it was fantastic the first half of the second season, but are they trying to throw too much in that we can't really follow along?
There is a danger that occurs with TV shows, I think, is that they forget how roller coasters work. And roller coasters work because there's anticipation, 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 and then a thing happens, and then there's more anticipation. And then you get like season 2 of Empire, where they suddenly decide it's gonna be all things and no anticipation. And this show, I think, is maybe going a little nuts in terms of trying to keep us interested and throwing enough stuff our way to keep us involved, where they've actually laid the groundwork for characters that we're interested in, that we care about, and there doesn't have to be like a thing happening every episode, that's shocking or whatever. So I hope they can calm down a little.
Yeah, because I think that that's a great analogy of a roller coaster. And when you had that anticipation, it was the murder of Blanky Blank Blossom. Jason Blossom. That was like that first season really carried us. You want to know who did it, who done it. And then in the second half, we had the Black Hood, and that was and a bunch of story arcs within there, but it was centered around, it had this anchor. And right now, after the reveal, what I felt was a very unsatisfying and unconvincing reveal of who the Black Hood allegedly is or was, I feel like we don't have that anchor, and they're trying to perhaps make it to be the Sodale Project, but I'm not invested in that. I don't care.
Neither am I.
And I think that Hiram is just an asshole, and as far as I know, like just sort of a very predictable archetype of a character that is just here to stir up trouble, just to sort of do it, and to have this machismo about him.
I think we have to be invested in the notion that Archie can take him down. And so we have to care about Archie ingratiating himself to him and Archie getting close enough so that he can give the FBI information and that kind of thing.
By the way, are you guys getting the vibe that the FBI guy, one, he's a little bit too aggressive and monotone for my own personal liking, but he doesn't seem like, I don't think he's legit FBI.
Yeah, what do you think? We think that it's, I'm really honestly hoping that he is not really FBI and he's working for someone else, because it would be such a stupid Pretty Little Liars-esque move for the show to just have a rogue FBI agent courting, what, a 16, 17-year-old to get him information. It feels, it's just irresponsible storytelling. It's really not believable. And something I really liked about Riverdale was how they made, as much as they could for a teen drama, they really made the goings-on of law enforcement with the sheriff, who is a small-town sheriff with his own son, very believable. And this FBI guy is just rogue out of nowhere. So do you think that he is a red herring, or do you think that he is who he says he is?
I had not really thought about it in that light, and I would not be surprised by either. I'll put it that way. It could go either way with this thing. It's funny, Dave at one point walked through the living room as I was watching this. He goes, "People on this show never go to class and they never smile."
Betty's dad, he was a little bit, he's really butthurt about Chick. And so the whole Chick thing to me and Betty thing is kind of corny, because I'm not buying it, I don't believe it. I think this whole Dark Betty storyline, I would love to see it happen quicker, versus us always having to wonder, okay, well, what's Betty really about? Why she's always so affected, and there's always this drama within her, and it's becoming a little bit sappy now.
It seems to me that if she were really interested in pursuing that avenue, she wouldn't need Chick to be there to be her guidepost. Like, she could have figured out her own way to like throw a wig on. And,
I would say truly, I would loathe for this discovery to happen if it were me with my brother's guidance. Like, I can't think of anything that would not want me to explore myself more than to have my brother looking over my shoulder, offering his critique and guidance.
Now, have you guys heard about the musical episode that's coming out?
There's a musical episode.
Yes.
Oh yes, and they're putting on Carrie the Musical, which Carrie the Musical, if you've never heard of it, is an infamous Broadway flop based on the Stephen King novel, but is one of those infamous flops that still has kind of a cult following, and various people have recorded different songs from it, and it's kind of always stayed alive in one way or another. And this frankly might be the perfect context for this ridiculous musical. And so that's at least one episode where I think they're gonna have to at least calm down a little bit and actually focus on the material at hand, because apparently they're doing like 11 songs or something.
One other question.
In an hour.
Are you guys feeling chemistry between Tony and Jughead? I ship them way harder than I ship Jughead and Betty.
No, I'm always Jughead Betty.
Yeah, I'm Bughead. Team Bughead for sure.
Bughead for sure.
Really?
I just, Tony.
I would ship
like
Tony
her.
and Cheryl. Because I heard rumors that maybe, because Cheryl seemed like she was perhaps sexually fluid. I think that there was definitely some tension that she was exploring with Josie.
Yeah.
We know that Tony is bisexual or however she identifies. And I heard some rumors on the Twittersphere saying that there might be something with Cheryl and Tony. So if the writers, if this helps at all, yes, please do that. If it helps that the fan base would be behind it, please do.
And Kevin and Fangs, let's not forget.
Yes,
that would be really very hot.
I need more Kevin. We have these characters, this robust cast that we love, and you're just kind of we're getting Hiram Lodge. Like, who asked for him?
Yeah.
I want to throw out 2 things real quick from the comics that made their way in this episode. When the FBI agent makes a reference to your gals and pals, that was a title. The Archie's Gals and Pals, or Pals and Gals, was one of the books that the Archie company put out for years. Also, the wrestling coach is Coach Cleats, who was the coach from the comics. They made Chuck's dad the coach for that whole thing last year with the football team and the book and stuff. But Coach Cleats is like a stock Archie secondary character. Now we have him.
And now you know.
Yeah.
And now you know.
So yeah, I hear you guys. This is they maybe are losing their footing a little, but I'm fingers crossed.
Oh, I'm still tuning in every week.
100% a filler episode.
But wrestling sequences directed by Gregg Araki. That is not to be ignored.
And guys in singlets, hey, winning.
Could be
A
worse.
lot of guys in singlets.
Could be worse.
We'll be back next time. Thanks.